ahead or climbing the corporate ladder. For others, it is accumulating money, lots of money. But whatever one's definition of success, there seems to be a link or connection between success and what we call or think of as happiness. The book known as the Bible describes one man's quest for success and happiness. From all outward appearances, he was successful and happy. But inwardly, something was missing, and he knew it. The section of the Bible known as Ecclesiastes gives a first-hand account of this man's fascinating search for true success. It instructs each of us on what will never work, and then gives the key to success and lasting happiness. Stay tuned. The author of Ecclesiastes is King Solomon. He ruled over all of Israel from 970 to 931 before the Common Era. And he was considered the wealthiest man of his day and was known for his great wisdom. We are told that his gift of wisdom and great wealth were given to him by God. Notice in the Bible, 1 Kings, the 3rd chapter, verse 5. At Gibeon, the Eternal, or the Lord, appeared to Solomon in a dream by night. And God said, "Ask, what shall I give you?" Honestly, consider, what would you ask for if you were given the same opportunity? Would it be riches? Would it be good health? Would it be fame? What would it be? Notice Solomon's remarkable request. "Now, O Lord my God, you have made your servant king instead of my father David. But I am a little child. I do not know how to go out or come in. And your servant is in the midst of your people whom you have chosen, a great people, too numerous to be numbered or counted. Therefore give to your servant an understanding heart to judge your people, that I may discern between good and evil. For who is able to judge this great people of yours?" This is not the response of the average man or woman. Sadly, too many believe that success and happiness are reached through becoming wealthy and or famous. Gambling has become an obsession for many in the Western world. People think, if only I could win the lottery, it would solve all of my problems. But would it really? Wealth of itself is not a bad thing, but in the end, it will not buy a happy marriage, because it cannot buy the character to do what it takes to have a happy marriage. Money does not train us to live patiently, to live in harmony with one's neighbor, or to exercise kindness on a daily basis. Without these, no one will truly be happy. Jesus commanded, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." But the mantras of today's world are, take care of number one, meaning yourself, and live for today. So what was God's response to Solomon's request for wisdom? Let's notice. Then God said to him, "Because you have asked this thing, and have not asked long life for yourself, nor have asked riches for yourself, nor have asked the life of your enemies, but you have asked for yourself understanding to discern justice. Behold, I have done according to your words. See, I have given you a wise and understanding heart, so that there has not been anyone like you before you, nor shall any like you arise after you. And I have also given you what you have not asked, both riches and honor, so that there shall not be anyone like you among the kings all your days. So if you walk in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments, as your father David walked, then I will lengthen your days." The most famous example of Solomon's wisdom is of the time when two harlot women came before him for judgment. One woman gave birth to a son, and the other, who lived in the same house, gave birth to a son 3 days later. As it happened, one of the infants died in the night, and one woman accused the other of switching the infants. Since no one was in the house at the time except the two women, it was one woman's word against the other. There were no witnesses, no electronic lie detector tests, and no DNA test. It all came down to one woman's word against the other, or so it seemed. How would you decide? What judgment did Solomon render? Let's notice. And the king said, the one says, this is my son who lives, and your son is a dead one. And the other says, no, but your son is a dead one, and my son is a living one. Then the king said, bring me a sword. So they brought a sword before the king. And the king said, divide the living child in two, and give half to one and half to the other. Then the woman whose son was living spoke to the king, for she yearned with compassion for her son, and she said, "Oh, my lord, give her the living child, and by no means kill him." But the other said, "Let him be neither mine nor yours, but divide him." So the king answered and said, "Give the first woman the living child, and by no means kill him. She is the mother." And all Israel heard of the judgment which the king had rendered. And they feared the king, for they saw that the wisdom of God was in him to administer justice. Solomon was not only wise, but he was also wealthy and famous. Much can be said of his wealth, so we will not take the time to describe all of it at this moment. But one incident in his life testifies of his wealth and fame. It is the visit by the Queen of Sheba. When she heard of his fame, she came to visit him, bringing with her a very large company bearing spices, gold, and precious stones. She tested him with difficult questions, and he answered them all. So impressed was she that this visit is recorded for us in 2 Chronicles, the 9th chapter. When the Queen of Sheba had seen the wisdom of Solomon, there was no more spirit in her. Then she said to the king, "It was a true report which I heard in my own land about your words and your wisdom. However, I did not believe their words until I came and saw with my own eyes. And indeed the half of the greatness of your wisdom was not told me. You exceed the fame of which I heard. Happy are your men, and happy are these your servants who stand continually before you and hear your wisdom. Blessed be the Lord your God, who delighted in you, setting you on his throne to be king for the Lord your God. Because your God has loved Israel to establish them forever, therefore he made you king over them to do justice and righteousness." One would think with such an endorsement, King Solomon would have felt that he was the most successful and happy person to ever live. But such was not the case. Perhaps it was because of his great wisdom that he was an introspective man, one who thought deeply about things. And in the end, all his fame, all his wisdom, all his wealth, all of his accomplishments left him empty and at the point of suicide. Why? Why? What was missing? Why did Solomon find success so difficult to find, given all that he had? The book of Ecclesiastes describes Solomon's search for happiness, success, and well-being. This book is read by observant Jews during the Feast of Tabernacles, a feast that pictures the rule of the Messiah on the earth, a 1,000-year period of peace and prosperity for all. God commands us, take the money in your hand and go to the place which the Lord your God chooses, and you shall spend that money for whatever your heart desires, for oxen, sheep, for wine or similar drink, for whatever your heart desires. You shall eat there before the Lord your God, and you shall rejoice, you and your household. For those of us who have observed this special feast, we learn that while God allows us to enjoy the fruits of our labors, happiness does not come by self-service, but by caring for and serving others. And Ecclesiastes is warning that true success and happiness do not come by way of material pursuits. Let us face it, Solomon had more than any of us can hope to have. He was, as the saying goes,